What's up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and today, my friends, I am farming 100 named bosses in a row in the summit on challenging with multiple directives. Now, the main reason I wanted to put this together is because since the launch of Season 10, I've been hearing from people saying they just haven't noticed exotics dropping in the game like they used to. Now, we know they made an increase to exotics dropping from random NPCs in the open world, but a lot of people have noticed that bosses are not dropping them as much. You've been playing Countdown, you're not seeing them there, so today I just wanted to do kind of an experiment to see what we could find out. Now, if you happen to enjoy this video, do me a favor, take a quick second and hit that like button. It really does help the channel out. You can feel free to subscribe or join as well. And most of you know we have giveaways here, but I will get into those details at the end of the video. Now, there happen to be a few things I want to mention real quick. The first of which being, what build am I using for this? It is my regular Scorpio Hunter's Fury build. You can see I've got Badger Tough on the chest with Intimidate, running with the Memento backpack, Assault Drone, and the Crusader Shield. Again, this is a go-to build that I use pretty much all the time, and I will leave a link to the build breakdown in the description down below. The other thing I want to mention is that I'm using my favorite Floor 10 Summit Boss Farm method. It's something I use all the time to try to get different exotics, and if you do not know how to do that, once again, I will leave a link in the description down below so you can check it out, because in my opinion, it is one of the most efficient ways to farm for named bosses without a doubt. With all that being said, let's start off by talking about difficulty. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, I'm going to farm all 100 bosses on challenging, and every 20 floors I'll add a few directives here and there. And the main reason I'm doing that is because a good portion of the community still enjoys playing challenging as their main difficulty, and that's great. You know, I mean, a lot of people are still working on their builds, working their way up to heroic, but your concern is, are you wasting your time farming on any difficulty lower than heroic? And the answer is no, because every time you play this game will be different from the last. I know in my experience, I have certain sessions where I'm playing heroic for directives, I'm not getting anything, and again, I'm just cruising along, playing the game, enjoying the gameplay, but I'm, trying to get certain things, I don't get them. And then I wind up just doing random matchmaking, joining someone at a lower difficulty. And it starts to rain exotics left and right, which brings me to a very important point, and that is everyone's experience is going to be different with this game. So you're going to hear from people who just completely say, you know what, the only way to farm is in Countdown. Other people say the Summit. Others people, say missions or control points. And remember, when people are making these comments, they're correct, because that's what's working for them. So my recommendation that I always pass along is have different things you enjoy doing in the game and try those out on a random basis. Try farming in the Summit, then try Countdown, then try control points, things like that. Because as most of you know by now, you can easily get burnt out with this game. If you're doing the same thing nonstop, it can make you crazy, especially if you're not getting the loot you're looking for. So again, my friends, try out different things and hopefully that will bring you some better luck. Next, I'd like to talk about difficulty and directives. So as most of you know by now, the higher the difficulty equals the greater chance of getting better quality loot. And when it comes to directives, that is going to dictate the quantity of the type of loot you're looking for. So you're going to notice every named boss I take out, and again, the main focus of this is trying to get exotics, but every boss I take out will drop 3 pieces of loot. And depending on how many directives I have active, that could mean that one, if not all 3 of those could be the exact type of loot I'm looking for. So for instance here, you can see I have 2 directives active, and each boss I take out drops at least 1 SMG, which is my current targeted loot. So again, to be clear, the higher the difficulty and the more directives you have active does give you a better chance of getting something you may be looking for. But for those of you just jumping into the game, you can find certain things on lower difficulties. It may take a little more time, but again, it all boils down to luck. So let's now get into what I actually discovered by doing this. And for me, again, it was just to see how many exotics I could get from farming 100 bosses in a row. This is not how I typically play a game. It was like, it's just an experiment. So first of all, for the first 20 floors that I farmed, I had no directives active whatsoever. Then when I got to the 21st floor, I thought I'd add a few directives, which you can see here I did. Now on floor 28, I got my first exotic, which was the Chatterbox. So again, I was like, okay, that's great. 1 out of every 28, pretty decent so far. Let's see where we go from here. Now, the next exotic that dropped for me was at floor 51. However, remember, every single boss is dropping at least 3 items of gear, so that way, no matter what, you're stacking all of that loot. And remember, finally in this game now, farming feels like it has a purpose again because of the expertise system. I know there were times in the past I'd play for a few hours here, a few hours there, and not get anything I was looking for, but at least now, even if you're farming and you don't get the exotic you're looking for, you haven't wasted your time completely, because at least expertise, you can then donate certain things you don't need to the expertise system and use those different components to upgrade something else you're using. Now at this point in the video, I'd like to go over what I actually got in regard to exotics while I was doing this. So I received 7 exotics total out of 100 bosses. I received 1 Chatterbox, 2 Catharsis, 2 Imperial Dynasty, 1 Bullet King, and 1 Sweet Dream Shotgun. Now one thing I did notice, there were a handful of times where the exotic that I received was not the targeted loot that I'd picked. So I was trying to get a rifle and I wound up getting a mask, or I was trying to get a shotgun and I wound up getting, something else. So again, even though you may have something picked, that doesn't mean that's the exotic that's going to drop. Now in theory, that is where the different directives come into play, because the more directives you have active, like I said before, equals the better chance if you're getting that specific targeted loot, but it is not a guarantee. I may not talk to a lot of different players, and they'll mention the fact that they were farming in the summit on heroic difficulty. They had like 7 or 8 directives going, nothing would drop whatsoever. They switched their difficulty to challenging, dropped it down to 2 directives, and then, exotics were dropping left and right. So again, try out different things, and hopefully, like I've said a few times, you get what you're looking for. Most of you know by now, if you've been at this channel for a minute, you know how much I love putting together farming videos, and I wish I had something that was a guarantee. I mean, look, the only thing we know you can get guaranteed in this game are rewards in the seasonal reward track. That's why I always make it a point to tell you, try to finish up the season, because anytime you can get an exotic in the game and it's guaranteed, you definitely want to take advantage of it. However, the good news is that every exotic from every previous season is in the general loot pool, so if you missed something before, you still can pick it up. I really hope this video helps you out, and I sincerely wish you the best of luck in trying to find what you're looking for. With all that being said, my friends, I want to take a moment as always and thank you all for the incredible support you continue to show me at this channel. We are getting close to cracking 38,000 subs. I have all of you to thank for it, and as always, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know and I will get back to you as quick as I can. Now, for those of you that have reached out to the channel in regard to doing some farming with me, I am doing my best to try to get some free time in order to live stream for a good 2-3 hours at a time. It gets kind of tricky. I'm still getting the whole back to school thing going with the kids and whatnot, but as soon as I have that time, I am putting together a list and I promise to reach out soon. One of the things I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and most of you know this, but we do have giveaways here. Our current one is for a PlayStation 5. To enter, all you need to do is subscribe here or follow on Twitter, and the winner will be announced on October 2nd of this year. On that note, I'm going to let the rest of the video play out. However, like I mentioned at the beginning of this thing, if you happen to be new here, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit that like button. It really does help us out, but most importantly, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.